Alright, welcome to attempting to rank FE4. So this is just the intro to the prologue here. I'm using variable speeds for the different phases here. Enemy phase are fast, player phase are slightly faster than actual game speed, but still manageable. So I've just set the configurations the way I like it, and now I'm proceeding here. Alec is weakening up this barbarian so that Arden can deal with it effectively. Alec and Noish are actually fine-tuned to be able to take on some of these early bandits here. The hand-axe bandits later in the map, not so much, but the early bandits they can combine as an effective team. I don't know that I utilize it much, because I try to let Arden get some kills here. The objectives you need to do for a ranked playthrough in Fire Mode 4 are survival, everyone must end alive, combat, you can't have lost units at least 3 times, and then the typical tactics and experience sort of things. Which are obviously more detailed, but just to keep in mind. Okay, so Sigurd always will prioritize people with 2 range here, because he can't hit them on the enemy phase, so he's got to hit them on the player phase. Azel takes out that guy from the forest as per normal. Here, I send Noish up to weaken this barbarian bandit who's burning my village, because I want to save as much of the gold as I can, and then I just send Alec to the west. Arden has to finish off this guy, otherwise he keeps trucking and probably wants to sack our home castle, which is unacceptable. Right, so there's not a whole lot to say on some of these enemy phases, which is one of the reasons why I've sped them up rather nicely. But we can see that Sigurd dominates pretty much as per usual, and we're slowly gaining our main forces here. So the Leinster Knights have just arrived. So Azel just keeps trucking as far as he can. He moves maximum movement each turn, because I need to get him exposed to as many enemies as possible. Azel, much like Arden, is in a very difficult situation as far as earning experience, and you need to have all of your people earn as much experience as they can to satisfy the experience rank. So Lex here, his job is to just manage to weaken things up if Azel can't take care of them himself. So he's positioned there, the hand-axe bandit will attack him, Azel can still finish him off. So Alex just gets some chip in on this bandit. Barbarian, rather. Heads west. Ethlyn is our first staff user of the game. Staffs are immensely powerful in terms of, leveling, as well as providing utility benefits. And we'll see that time and time again. Arden didn't really need the heal, but it was worth experience, and Ethlyn leaves early, so getting her experience when she can is good. Once again, we have Sigurd take out an archer, and continue to trek down towards the first castle. So the Prologue map actually has a few main objectives. You have to seize both of the enemy castles. You also want to get the silver sword from Elvis, and the speed ring from the village, as well as get as much money from any of the other villages as you can. Okay, so Sigurd actually got hit here quite a few times by axes, which is unlucky. I mean, the fact that he was standing on a road didn't help his avoid, but still, axes versus swords don't do particularly well, especially in this game. Alec and Noish just continue to trek west here. Softening and killing bandits as they come. Lex continues to chip, mainly just for XP, because I think he'd already chipped it enough so that Ozzel could take care of it. This attack here, Norse activates Charge. I don't know that it's entirely necessary. It was a hand-axe bandit, so he would have attacked from range. But if I left him alive, I'm not exactly sure if Arden would have been able to reach him before the map ended to kill him. So Charge was kind of nice, may or may not have been actually required. If not, I would have just left the bandit in the dust and... no, Barbarian. I'm going to keep making that mistake over and over again. Anyway, the Leinster Knights are going to go down and help Sigurd out, because Sigurd's in a bit of a difficult situation, and there's a lot of hand-axe people that he's just going to ignore, and they'll mop up the pieces. So Sigurd's positioning here is actually important. If he's positioned somewhere else, he has a non-negligible chance of death. And by non-negligible, I mean he will probably die. It may have been a smart idea for me to equip a javelin with Quan, but I didn't actually try it to see what the results would have been. And since things were acceptable enough, I didn't bother going back. Okay, so... ordinarily I might have Lex stay there and finish him off, but again, Azel needs all the experience he can get, even if that means that the village has to burn a little bit longer. Usually I'm very conscientious about saving as many chunks of villages as possible, even if it's not entirely necessary. Eklund continues her healing duties. Quan comes down here. I have him use the javelin to get a kill. Sigurd probably could have just as easily gotten the kill and positioned himself where he needed to be, and the results would have been the same, but Quan also needs some experience, because much like Ethlin, Quan leaves earlier than the rest of the people. Speaking of, throughout the course of this commentary, I will probably be dropping spoilers left and right, because in order to properly do a ranked playthrough, you definitely need to know what's coming ahead. And so, discussing, who leaves when, what plot events happen where, is definitely going to be required business. Okay, so that Barbarian actually goes and attacks Alec, which is useful, because, Alec also needs experience, and since Alex and Noish took the middle, they don't get quite as much as if they had tagged along with Sigurd. Although that does position them so they're more easily able to save that center village. Okay, Ethlin tops off Sigurd, well not tops off, but definitely provides a much needed refreshment. And Sigurd manages to get the C's here. And we proceed. So I checked the display. The first seize is at 6 turns. I'll try to remember to do that frequently whenever I seize a castle to pull up the data window, but sometimes I may or may not forget. So Quan goes over here, and I don't actually want Quan to kill this one. Which means that even though he activated continue, missing on it was pretty decent. Finn just goes over here to clean up on the straggler. His positioning at last turn actually could have been better. Instead of having him go southwest, I probably should have just left him alone over there. But, again, you make small inefficiencies here, there, and everywhere. Mitter grabs the speed ring. There are a couple of viable candidates for it. The people who need it the most are probably between him and Finn. You want the speed ring to go to somebody with the pursuit skill. and somebody whose weapons are typically heavy. Lances and bows are both fairly heavy, especially when compared to swords. And you definitely want the speedrunner to go to somebody with Pursuit, because I believe, I don't remember who it was, but somebody once said something that I agree with very much, in that aside from the 1 hit point that separates you from 1 and 0, the single most important stat is the one that pushes you over the edge to double.